All right, so we're recording. Um, so yeah, so you just gotta bring the meeting to order, Nick, I guess, and then we'll
Yeah,
figure it out.
it's bringing the meeting Board of Finance Town Council to order. It's 11:04 on the 12th of September, 2025.
All right, thank you, Nick. So Nick, I just handed out what's actually on the screen.
Awesome.
I can send it to you after. This is kind of a run through of part that this thing just does not want to scroll for me. Fortunately. But basically the top portion of the sheet is last year's work, the paving and everything that we did last year.
Yeah.
And all in, we started off with a bid amount of 9,000,003. Contingency was about 810,000, which gave a project total of 10,1. And then final costs all in came in at 899, just under 9 million. So the difference between the bid and the actual final cost was down by $319,000. So overall, I think we did quite well. We had nothing where we had an issue with contingency or what have you. The majority we didn't use contingency at all. And then if we roll to we roll down to Penny's trying to get in. We tried it. If we roll down to the next one, we'll run through those. So right now our paving one is still underway. We're about 75% done. I didn't put in a final cost, but we're below our bid amount at present as we're tracking. And I've got Millport Avenue, Green Avenue, Lakeview Lane, Park Lane, missing one road in there, left to go. They'll start that on the 15th. It has about 2 weeks to do that, and that'll finish. As far as we look at our microfin overlay Cape Seal and crack seal project, that's completed, and the difference in final cost was between the two was approximately $540,000 of contract work, and we came in under by about 88,000, 89,000 overall. So that went very well. And then our fire department, actually Brushy Ridge is going to start soon. That's the work at the intersection of 123 Brushy Ridge and Locust. That's some intersection improvements, tying in the sidewalks and then helping with the pedestrian crossing there. That is a $215,000 project, and that's slated to start by the end of next week. So that would be the 19th. And then we'll run through that. The fire department parking lot was a $70,000 job with contingency 80,000. It's complete. It's under budget, and I'm just waiting for the final pricing from the contractor on that. But the firemen are very happy. And then for local roads number 2 for Aquarian, that one is $140,000 project. That's for Brushy Ridge, Hill Street, and River Street. This is 100% funded by Aquarian. And we had our paving contractor quote it for us, and that should start the same thing on the 15th, and then that'll run through. But that's a pass-through cost from Aquarian to us, to the contractor, because we like to maintain the fact that we pave our roads, they can pay us to pave our roads. This is how much it's going to cost after they're done putting in a water main.
Yeah. Tiger, you said local roads 1.655 million. You're under budget.
Under budget, but yeah, I don't have that number offhand. I can get that to you, but I know that we're based upon the way we were running. I was tracking just under the cost when I took into account what the work had been done, and then the 4 roads we had left to do, and I put those roads in at their maximum for quantities, and we were running just under. we had a surplus in the bid amount.
Great job.
And then, and then Elm Street, we had, it was a $170,000 job. It came in at 120, all in. The only thing we have left to do is we're out, we got a quote for the decorative crosswalks. That's gonna be approximately $42,000. That's going to the selectmen for approval. That is not reflected in these numbers here. But we'll do those decorative crosswalks and, we should be fine, all in. And then Pine Street, we just received the bids. That's going to the selectmen on Tuesday. FGB Construction is the low bid at $480,000. I had that estimated, an engineer's estimate of $525,000. And so we're under what I estimated, and that'll start sometime around October 1 and run through the rest of the season. And then that is a milestone for us, me, because our DPW in general, is because that's the last road in town that needs to be paved since we started our pavement management program in 2004.
Wow.
We said it was gonna be 20 years, it's pretty much exactly 20 years. We were done a year ago, but Pine Street was the only one that was the only outlier. Once we do that, every road has been paved in town in the past 20 years. Which is a nice thing. The next two projects, the Park, the Playhouse lot, the Park Street lot, that is, that'll be out to bid shortly. We're working out the ramp itself, between the Playhouse lots and Elm Street. That is gonna get a ramp and a new staircase and a new sidewalk between the Playhouse and La Pen Cotidienne. That's going to the selectmen, this Tuesday, and that project is approximately $780,000 worth of work, from Burns Construction. And that'll start immediately and will run through Thanksgiving. That's a major connection and a major, thing for the ADA. That's at the bottom there, so you're looking at $738,895 plus a $74,000 contingency. And then we'll run from there. And then the intersection improvements at Conrad Road, Peter Line won that bid. That was a $78,000 job, came in at $65,000 for a savings of $13K. The two trail projects, one was completed by AJ's Landscaping, the other by Peter Lonnie. One was at $76,380. We spent a little bit of contingency on that, $1,350. That mainly was some additional drainage work that we did in the area. And then the other one for Peter was at $40,775. We spent almost all the contingency there. That was, we extended the limits from 1,600 linear feet to 1,800 linear feet, or 1,791 feet, I believe. And to just tie into exactly where the conservancy is going to stop. And so that's why the additional work on the contingency there. But that was really additional scope added, not necessarily anything that we went wrong on the project itself. Then the Elm Street bump outs by Peter Lonnie was $120,000 job, came in at $108,000. And then the Bluestone Walks that was up by the Congregational Church, that was a $13,507 job, came in at $13,067. And then the large job at Putnam Road sidewalks that we just completed a couple of weeks ago, I would say right before school started, that was their mandate, was a $424,000 job, came in at $401. That's that pretty much tells you where we're at. The only other thing we have on the job right now is the Waving House exterior renovations with Kronenberger. That's working through right now. We're on time, we're on budget. And I can give you the where we are as it stands. Joe Zagorinsky's been running that project. It's been running quite well. And then the largest one we had was Capo. So Capo came in, started off at $4,977,685. And right now through application 8, which should be the final before the payment of contingency, we're estimating it's going to be $5,055,000 for a $78,000 overage between the original contract and the final pricing, but that's about 31% of the contingency itself. That's it. We had a $250,000 contingency, which was really only 5% of the project. So while it looks like there's a lot of contingency used, we only had a 5% contingency on it versus a 10% contingency or a 15% contingency. So it looks like we used a larger amount. We really did. It was only 78 grand from start to finish. Which,
So
$5 million was pretty good.
really great, Tiger. If I look at these, and because of the cold and winter coming, I guess you have to get these completed. So those marked completed, and those that are not completed, the 3.9 million you say at the bottom, difference bid amount to final cost, that's not the final under budget because you still have work to do, right? But what would you say today, ballpark, percentage wise or dollar wise, you will be under when we're done?
That takes into account the fact that I don't have anything written into the final cost for a couple of large projects, the Playhouse ramp, the Wavy House exterior, all that, and then the 1.6 payment. So there's about I don't know, well, overall there's probably pretty close to the entire 3.9 amount being allocated to projects. If I looked at it, we will definitely be under our overall. And then with that said, with the savings that we have already on the completed projects, assuming that each one runs full, will probably be about $150,000 under, easy, from one to the next. But I would imagine that'll probably be a little bit larger when we finish. But I don't want to overpromise. But
That's great. No, that's great.
right now, I would say based upon what I see, it'd be about $150,000 to $200,000 under the previous, which is pretty consistent to the 24 numbers.
Yeah, I mean, we'll know more next month when you have completed more, and then again in November. So when in November are you like, do you really have to finish road work?
It's really actually December 15th is the final. That's when the plants close, right around December 15th. We like to be done before Thanksgiving because there's and I've got a couple that are going to run right up until that time. So the Playhouse ramp, that's going to run right up to that time frame. Likely the Wavy Western parking lot will run to that as well, or close to that. That's going to start pretty much the 1st of October, and I've got about 4 weeks worth of work, 5 weeks worth of work in there. So say close to Thanksgiving. So those couple of larger projects that we're waiting on will run to that. But I don't really like to pay post Thanksgiving. I like to be done. So we're trying to be just up to Thanksgiving, have everything done. But the local roads job, that'll be done in about 3 weeks, 4 weeks max. So from now to then, that'll be October 15th. So right around our next meeting, I should have that number in, and then I'll have a good idea as to how, and then I'll have the firehouse number in, the local roads number 2 number in, and then we'll be waiting on the western lot, Pine Street, and the Playhouse ramp be our largest ones waiting on. And I'll have a very good idea at that point too on the exterior renovations of the Wavy House.
Right.
Right. And then the only other thing we have out there that we worked on, or we spoke to the Board of Finance about last week was the Irwin demo. And the Irwin demo right now, the total projected project costs are $867, $332.20. And as you know, we started off with a budget of about $550,000, but we had some additional hazardous materials that we determined through that, and the demo cost itself came in a little bit higher. Irwin's interesting because it's got an extensive basement with a bomb shelter. And the bomb shelter had a lot of asbestos, in it for, insulation, things of that nature. So there was, some additional cost based on what we thought was gonna be the number. We had taken the middle road on the percentage of what they thought the, environmental aspect was gonna be. They gave us a range of like 100 to 400. We took it around 200, 250, and it came in around closer to the 400. So we had another couple $100,000 there, and then the demo itself came in a little bit higher. Um, but overall, and then we had some monies, from, the Waveney House project, budget itself, and we were able to then fill the gap, so we didn't have to come back for additional money, just the transfer itself. And then we've got move our maintenance, and our storage from what's in the garage at present to the barn. And we're estimating that order of magnitude at approximately $108,000 worth of work, but that's tied into the 867, 332. And inside,
And even though it came in higher, and you always said that that's why we hired the environmental firm to to see if there is any environmental issue that would, cause the cost to go up, and it did. But 867 is still, I think, half or less than half what it would have cost to maintain, right? The exterior and the interior. So it's still savings.
exactly, just the exterior alone was 1,415 on
Yeah.
just the exterior was the estimate. And that didn't kind of take into account the interior. In the interior, we were estimating a minimum of $400,000 just to try to do anything on the inside. So we were at 2 million plus, for the
Yeah.
house itself to, to move forward. And we didn't really have a use per se. Right now, Buchanan Cares is in there, CERT was in there. We've been able to find locations for CERT at the PD. And Buchanan Cares is being relocated to Vine Cottage, so there's room there. So the building became, well, it was swing space, really. We don't have any reason to have swing space at present, so,
Nice.
yeah.
So okay, Jen, can I ask a question?
Oh, go ahead, please.
Just what's the timing, the projected timing on that? Like,
Yeah, you stop share so we can see that.
are you in the process now of like remediating the hazardous?
No, we haven't started that because we needed to go before the Board of Finance for a transfer of funds. We did that on Tuesday. Got the
Mhm.
transfer funds from the waiving account, waiving exterior repairs account. And then we can go, at that point, go to the Board of Selectmen. So we're going to the Board of Selectmen on Tuesday. And Joe's projection is that by the end of the year, we'll but that assumes that it will not be remanded to the Historic Review Commission for a 90-day delay. So it gets remanded because it's considered to be a historic building. If it gets remanded by that to the Historic Review Committee, they could put a 90-day delay on it. We don't have that factored in. So if it gets that delay, we're into spring, yeah, or late winter.
Do you have any sense of that? Like,
I don't think it's going to go, but I can't speak for that's our chief building official, makes that original determination, and then the historic committee does. So I can't speak for them, but I don't think it's going to. It does meet the time frame. It's over 50 years old, but it doesn't necessarily historic, while it is historic from the Irwin Watson IBM perspective, is it historic to the town? I don't know if it approaches that gap, if it reaches that gap, so. And then the only other thing we have is we'll be going to the Board of Selectmen Tuesday for the approval of the Waveney Park playground work. And that work was approved by Park and Rec Wednesday night. So went to Park and Rec Wednesday night. They approved the layout and the installation and the equipment, what have you, of the overall plan for the playground itself. The fitness area is already completed, and then we've got to go to the board of to the town council the following night for the Bach amendment, because we had a $455,000 original budget for the two. We were able to get a grant for $300,000, a steep grant, and then the friends of the playground, the Waveney Park playground, were able to raise a substantial amount of money. So we need to get that additional delta between what we had it as a budget to, what the new, budget would be. And, at present, that's just under about $800,000 overall, so it'd be going to,
Just to follow
Sure.
the numbers, and so sorry, so we had, what was it, approximately 440
we
was in the
had
budget?
455 original for the playground and the fitness area. Yes,
Okay, and do you guys have a firm number?
Well,
yeah, we have firm numbers, but what we're going to the board of selectmen with is firm numbers for the construction. And that's at 766,069. Total. So and that's the equipment, the servicing and the installation at 766,069, and then there'll be some additional work associated with it, fencing, landscaping, things of that nature. So we're asking for a little bit more of an approval from the town council so we can spend up to that amount. Because by the document, we can't spend more than what was budgeted, and since these monies are coming in from outside sources, we have to get those approved. So that'll go to the council for approval, so the selectmen's approval will be pending the town council approval. And then if we get the town council approval, then Tiana can sign the contracts. And then we'll order the material, and then we'll be looking at probably a spring build, I think, late winter, early spring build.
and just a note on the funding sources. And again, I'm speaking on behalf of the Friends of Waverly Playground, and the fundraising effort that we did. The steep grant that we got from the state, which was $300,000 to build an all-inclusive, all abilities playground. Was contingent on a match from the town of a minimum of $325,000 and $150,000 from the Friends of Waverly Art Playground. All of those conditions have been met. The amount for the town contribution was approved in 2022. So we're not, for the playground, there's no additional monies that are being requested for the town to spend. It was already budgeted for. It's not an appropriation request or anything like that. It's just that we're able to combine the sources, so to speak, and spend the money and start construction.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah, and by town rules, we have to,
Yeah.
from our perspective, we have to ask for permission to do that.
Right.
That's, had it been approved at a budget of $800,000 at the time of when the budget was approved, we
Yeah.
wouldn't be going back, but we got approval only for the 455 at that time.
Yeah.
So,
And some of that was spent on the adult fitness equipment, right? So
Right.
we're not using 455 of town funds to build the playground necessarily. I
Right.
think that was about 100,000,
$1 and a quarter
125.
approximately.
Yeah, so that's installed and done, so now we're moving on to the phase 2 playground part
Right.
for the kids.
Well, congratulations, that's very exciting, especially that'll be all abilities.
Yeah,
So that's a good thing. And then, so that, the rest of them are all kind of, I don't wanna say, small peanuts, but they're all, they're just, they're taxpayer money, so they're money, but it's nothing, in the larger range. And the only other thing we have is that the Wavy, elevator ADA project is, we did the work in preparation for the elevator. We did that this summer, and now we're slated to, we're waiting for the elevator to be started to be delivered. And that should be sometime in late December for a January, just after January start, and we have the building somewhat closed to weddings and events from January to March. And that's when that will all go in. Bathrooms are up and running, the family bathroom is up and running. Everything is ready for the elevator itself, we're just waiting on the elevator. That was a 32-week lead time, we released it in June. And the 32 weeks put us sometime into late November, early December.
Tiger, when do you reckon the exterior scaffolding will be taken down at Waveney?
I have to ask Joe, but that it's gonna be up for another couple of weeks minimum or longer. We have some extensive work that we need to do on that side, for the a lot of the window areas, a lot of the work over there. And then we've got some larger pieces that need to be removed and reinstalled that we can't do off of lifts. And we're looking at in that area as well, doing a lot of the coping, and the coping stone's the same thing. It's very difficult to pull that coping stone off onto a lift with, and the lift can't handle that much material and that much weight, and then put it back on. So that scaffolding will remain for probably another month or more.
Okay, you know, folks visiting the place for weddings, and they take it out on the wedding coordinator, like she has anything to do with that, you know?
Yeah, Rachel's been getting beat up a little bit. We feel bad for that. But I mean, it is got a scrim on it. It's only one side of the building, and probably the least, photogenic side of the building. So we're trying to say, well, you've got about 345 degrees of view that you could shoot from. Just 15 degrees of the building you can't really shoot at. You don't shoot towards it. So but yeah, we're aware of it. We're trying. It's just there's an extensive amount of work there. That's where the majority of the damage was.
Yeah.
Site was on that service wing. So we're trying to make sure that we get that site right. Because we don't want to have to come back, especially over there, have to erect scaffolding and that nature again. But the contractor's been excellent. They've been trying to work around the waving schedule as best as possible. We have had some rides and brooms. I'm happy with the view. And we're trying to compensate them, or at least work with them on the issue. John's been doing a nice job with that, John Howe, and we'll go from there.
Hey, Tiger, you probably know this offhand, that vacuum truck you guys wanted to purchase, is that purchased? Has that been purchased?
It's been purchased. We're waiting for the delivery. Should be here. It's sometime late fall, early winter. So we're looking at the end of end of November-ish. But it has been ordered. Came in right on the number that we needed to come in on, and we're just waiting for it to be fabricated. It's kind of an elaborate build. That piece of equipment is kind of you come in with the chassis, and then they got to put everything on the back end of it. So
Yeah.
What happens to the old one? Do we keep?
we don't have that one. That one was.
Leasing?
We don't have one of this nature, so we did have one up until about 2 years ago, but it ate itself alive. So we actually took off the whole back end, and put a standard stainless steel bed on it, and now we've got an actual truck that's close to a tri-axis size. And we really just kind of, because the chassis and the frame were in good shape, it was just everything in the back was done. So we were able to refurbish that and get them. Most of our trucks are 8-yarders. This is a much bigger truck. This is 10, 12 yards or more, 15 yards out of it. So it gets so we're able to have a bigger truck that we don't really want tri-axis drive around in town. It's very tough, but this is so it's in between our large truck and a tri-axle. And it fits really well with our programs. So we were able to reutilize it, which was a good thing. It's just that the back end was not in good shape.
And then that highway garage cold storage.
Oh, thank you. So yes, so that was out the bid. That those numbers came in substantially lower, and they're going to the selectmen this week as well. Our overall costs, our overall costs should be a lot less than what was there, probably by the tune of $50,000 to $100,000 less to put in a cold storage building there. We went out to bid, got a very good bid for that. Got good numbers on the demolition, and then we got good good answers from the fact that the existing foundation and footing could be reutilized. So we were in good shape with that. So we didn't have to actually build anything new. We can actually put in a brand new slab and call it a day, and build on the existing footprint, which was our goal originally. But we wanted to make sure that everything was fine. So we did some exploratory work there. Found out that the footings and the foundation wall are in very good shape, and so we're able to kind of save some money there.
That's great news.
Yeah. I think there's anything else.
Okay. Well, look at my list here.
Yeah, so the nature center pond dredging, that's nearing completion. That number came in under. We had a budget of $250,000 that came in under budget. on the original bid. I haven't really had any change orders for that, so that should waiting on the final number on that. But they're I'll say that they're done, but we have some landscaping left to do, and then we're waiting on the material that we took out to dry. It's up by the butterfly meadow off of Owen Ridge. We're waiting for that material to dry, and once that material dries, then we'll grade it off in place and restore that area. But that was part of the plan, was to wait for that stuff to dry out and leave it there.
So where that white, there's like a white sheet or covering, just some.
Yeah, exactly.
I was wondering if that was.
Yeah, the nature center is also doing some work there where they're covering over some invasives with plastic to kill it. So if you kill it, if you cover over it, you know, it doesn't allow itself to grow, you know, and they can smother it at that point. So it's in the exact same area that we're working on there. And then trying to think of anything else of note, anything that's large. But everything we have from a purchase standpoint is ordered, just waiting on delivery. So in that regard, everything's pretty much in process, because we want to be able to come back to you guys in November, December, well, January, February, when we get to you guys, and be able to say everything that we bought, and then every other project we're trying to make sure is in play.
Tiger, whatever happened to that discussion around the redesigning the intersection at Carter and 106?
So that's a great question. So that we got back answers from the DOT. So we're ready for our permit for the reconstruction of that intersection. Problem that we have is that intersection splits the phases of work between phase 1 and phase 2 for the Aquarian water line and the gas line. So this year they're going to be repaving from Clapwood Hill to Canute. But they go pretty much halfway through the intersection, and then next year they're supposed to do the final intersection, final portion of the intersection all the way to Valley Road. So we're trying to work with the state on whether or not we can get in there and do these intersection improvements while they're working, and we don't have to reconstruct the entire road. Because originally they told me if I come in first, I've got to reconstruct the entire road, and I'm not building their entire road for me to put in some curbing and some enhancements that way. So we're working with the DOT on that. While we have a permit to do our work, we're contingent upon Aquarian's work. So we're working on phasing right now. But the moment Aquarian's out of the way, our plan is to come in and take care of that.
So the 106 to Valley construction is going to continue next year?
No, well, yes and no. So the pipe work will be done. The repaving will occur, so they'll have to repave curb to curb from Carter to Valley, or actually Carter all the way across into Wilton next year. They'll be repaving from Clapboard Hill to Canoe Hill this year, curb to curb, the entire thing. And then next year, since they were working on that, the other stretch, they'll repave that. So pipe work will be done. The residents should not be impacted at all until we go to pave. And then we go to pave, or I should say they go to pave, then there'll be some impact, but there won't be any below ground work, any pipe infrastructure work.
But you're saying that what you ideally want to do is to try to get in to make that intersection at Carter and 106 improved in between the aquarium work being done and before they pave.
Trying to,
And we don't have an answer on
I
that.
don't have an answer yet.
Okay, so you have to level up.
Trying to just coordinate through the two, you know. They said I could come in and do it, provided that I reconstructed the entire intersection 9 inches deep to their standards, and I was like, no, you got a guy who's already gonna do that. Why am I gonna pay for that? So that's really where we're at, it's this impasse between the two. We just happen to be hitting it at a poor time, you know. But the better part of it is that we have the permit pending. Once we hire a contractor to come do the work, we get the permit. So all of that work is done. It's just now logistics between when we can get in there. Yeah, timing.
So the stretch between Carter and Valley, which is an obstacle course, with them having done all that, you said that's going to be repaved next year?
Well, it'll get an overlay, should have clarified, it'll get an overlay this season sometime between October 15th and November 15th. It will have an overlay, about a 1 inch overlay over the whole thing, so it'll make it smooth. And then next year they'll come in and reconstruct the entire road. Curb to curb, 9 inches in, and rebuild the road base for the state. But this year it'll be smoothed out, similar to what happened, on the stretch from Clapper to Canoe. That got an overlay last year and it actually runs pretty well. At least I haven't got any complaints on that stretch, so they'll overlay this next stretch, we'll have a nice stretch of road on, for the winter season, and then they'll come back in and reconstruct it in the spring, summer.
Tyler, can you remind us, the project, I know it was called traffic calming or something, at the high school and Dunning.
Oh, excellent question. So that we're gonna have a kickoff meeting shortly with that. I've got to bring the contracts to the selectmen for approval to actually start that design work. Then we'll have a kickoff meeting with the BOE. So Dr. Lutzy, Bill Egan, Jay Egan, the transportation coordinator and others that are interested, as well as John Howe and myself, trying to work through that. And then that will be designed through the winter with the thought of coming in June and doing that traffic circle and the parking lots associated with it in the summer when school's out of session.
Okay.
All right.
Nick, can I ask a question?
Of course, Jen.
So Tucker, I read that there was an email that came in yesterday and I had sympathy for the gentleman about Seminary and Ono Lane.
Okay.
Do you have any thoughts on that? Like, there's like, he suggests that there's a small area at the end of Seminary that isn't paved and the traffic's coming crazy and fast. People are using Ono Lane, you know, to get around and coming very fast, and he's worried about people with strollers and pedestrians.
Everything's paved. So I have a small stretch of sidewalk on Seminary that hasn't been completed.
Yeah,
Seminary.
that's what the email is about, and he was very,
Wait, it's all.
sorry,
Small
the
stretch.
sidewalk is not completed, he was very,
I think she,
sorry.
That was
Yeah.
Ms. Boucher.
So anything to inform us about that?
No, just, right now, given the fact that the council, I don't have any money in the budget because it said no new sidewalks, so.
So that's really the end of the
So
discussion, or?
it really goes back to the council for discussion on the ordinance.
yes, I think.
So it's charged for the paving that?
No. No.
I mean,
My-
yeah, sorry.
Yes, because my understanding is that, and it's my understanding that this is what the first selectman told her, was that. Once we did not amend the ordinance to take the responsibility for paving and clearing sidewalks off of the town's budget. And impose it on homeowners or property owners, that there weren't gonna be any new sidewalks contemplated without a change to that ordinance. Right now, the town has to pay for all sidewalk cleaner, and now I'm putting on my town council hat.
Yes.
Right now, the town has to pay for all the sidewalk clearing. And I think a decision has been made at the executive level that barring any change in that. No, in good conscience, we can't install
Okay,
more sidewalks that can't be cleared.
so that's where we're at, it's like, that is the impasse.
Yeah, that's the impasse.
So you're at,
Which we discussed, at length at our
Yeah, it's fine.
bylaws and ordinances meetings and decided we weren't going to amend the ordinance. And I saw the residents' idea about a sidewalk taxing authority or sewer taxing authority. That would take a lot more discussion, and it's also sort of exactly what we contemplated in amending the ordinance to provide that taxpayers would have to pay for the clearing of sidewalks, so I don't know that that's the solution. And certainly if people wanna bring up the topic again of amending the ordinance, that's for us to decide as town council.
okay, thanks, just to clarify, it's
Yeah.
not his pain.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's the president's really, that you would love it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we asked the question numerous times about what the impact this would be on any future sidewalk construction that wasn't currently underway or just replacing existing sidewalks. And the conclusion that I heard was that we weren't gonna put in any more sidewalks and assume that responsibility to clear them and the potential liability if we don't. And that was a, you know, an unfortunate conclusion of us not amending the ordinance.
Right, and the budget went, and then when the budget came forward, you know, it was expressly asked, the question was, is this all for reconstruction? I said, yes, they said, okay, there's no new sidewalk money in here, and that was actually a direction from the council, no new sidewalk money in here, no new sidewalk money in here, so all I have is. Well, it's a new sidewalk, it's a reconstruction, so Putnam is a reconstruction, everything is a reconstruction. So, yeah.
Yeah, the behind the line neighborhood sidewalks are not.
That was all reconstruction, it was all existing sidewalks. So that's where our focus has been at present, is just maintaining what we have. And then until a different decision or just another decision made, it's then again, whatever.
Okay. I appreciate just to clarify.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are going to, from our perspective anyways, but we're gonna go back out to Ono Lane and see if there's something else we could do. Cause it really, the conversation with you gentlemen originally, Mr. Alchek, was about traffic calming. He first, I mean, we were traffic calming in a different area, then he started asking about if we could get a sidewalk on Ono Lane, and I said, right now, resides with the council. And then he said, well, I can't do that, I do speed humps, so now, and that goes to the police commission. But we have to do a little bit of research on that to see if there's anything else we can do to try to amend the speeds or lower the speeds. So we'll be putting out the speed sensors out there to do a traffic study to see exactly what the speeds are and what the volumes are, and then take that a little bit further, but they, the residents there would have to come forward, they want a traffic calming measure of that. That goes to our traffic calming, guidelines, which is, 50% of people have to vote in order for us to study it. And then 67% of the people have to vote in favor for whatever the solution might be. And at that point in time, if they vote for it, then if they don't like it within a certain time frame, they have to pay for its removal. So.
We're talking the residents of Owen Lake,
Residents.
not the whole thing, it's separate and apart from the sidewalk on the cemetery, so this is so yes, so that Owen Lane, which is used often as a cut through, which I totally get,
Right.
is so it's similar to what the residents on Conrad were experiencing, right? And they want some sort of traffic calming measure, so you're pulling that, you're gonna you'll go through
Same thing.
the
Same
standard.
process,
Okay.
same process, we'll do the exact same process that we did on Conrad.
Yeah.
It'd be a different solution because it's just a different situation, but they were asking for speed humps and if they, you know.
So
that-
based on like the email and what, you know, the complaint, obviously that person wanted more sidewalk, but the issue was the safety of people at the intersection of Ono, so it might be a house.
It's two different, so if you go down Seminary, which I do every day, cause I have to pick Gemma up from country school and I use Seminary. There is a small piece
I know.
where there's no sidewalk. So that I believe, two small pieces, so that I believe is what that email was about.
That's correct.
Traffic calming on Owen Lane, which yes, feeds into Seminary, is a totally
She
different.
gets in the email, in trying to, you know, make her argument, she talked heavily about that because of the traffic speed at Ono Lane. It was like her sense of urgency for
Mhm.
wanting the sidewalk, so maybe that would be a potential.
There's a stop sign, it's a three-way stop, yeah.
Anyway, stop and go on, can say that.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why it's there, was to stop traffic in that location, even though the people on Seminary don't necessarily adhere to the stop
Right.
sign. But it is a full stop at Ono, because it's a T intersection at that point. But yeah, the
Yeah.
original genesis was traffic calming on Ono Lane from the original, and then the Miss Busher lives on Ono Lane. And then so she started is speaking about sidewalks on Seminary.
Okay.
But so while they're together, they're almost two separate issues, so but to tackle the traffic issue on Ono, we're going out there to study that and take a look and see what we can do. From that perspective, the cemetery one is that's.
Right, so I understand that we're two separate issues. I was hoping perhaps like if one goes forward, that can go forward with the traffic calming, perhaps that would alleviate their.
Cars are still gonna come down Roanoke Lane to Seminary, regardless of how fast they drive, they're still gonna make it to down there, so I don't know. And then the traffic on Seminary, it's the traffic on Seminary, has really nothing to do with traffic on Roanoke. You know, people on Roanoke are just trying to get away from, you know, yeah.
The left hand.
Yeah, well, instead you gotta come all the way down, you know, Park Street and then come down Seminary, so they just come straight through. So I can understand his you know, his point of view. We've tried to do things in the past there, it's just, you know, that's a larger measure,
Yeah.
you know, sort of larger measure.
And if memory serves from that email, and I can pull it up, Ms. Busher, is that her name? Yes. Is also like was focusing too a bit on the sidewalk because she said, I think her grandchildren use that road to get to her, so. Yeah, it's tough. Listen, I would love more sidewalks in this town. I would love a sidewalk where I live. You know, I would love a sidewalk for a friend of mine whose son is in a wheelchair and lives on a busy road. It's just, it's a tough decision because of the snow issue and the compromise we made when we put in sidewalks on South Alpine. And so we can keep addressing that if you know, if we want more sidewalks, I think.
Okay,
What-
there anything else, Jen?
I'm good, thank you for the time to clarify.
No problem.
Sure.
Thank
I'm good too. Thank you all. I guess we can adjourn the meeting.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
okay, all right, thanks, Ken.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Nick.